From visiting his father in jail as a child, to hiring off-duty police officers for security at his own concert, Drake's life was never normal. One moment, he's a kid staring at metal bars. Years later, he's the one controlling the arena. Let's start with fact 1. In 2018, everything changed. Rapper Pusha T dropped a diss track called The Story of Adidon. And inside that track, he revealed something explosive. He claimed Drake had a secret son, not a rumor, not gossip, a real child hidden from the public. The internet went insane. Was Drake denying fatherhood? Was there a DNA test? Was he hiding the truth? For weeks, silence. Then Drake responded through his album Scorpion. I wasn't hiding my kid from the world. I was hiding the world from my kid. That single line flipped the narrative. The scandal became reality, and the world officially met Adonis. But that wasn't the only time Drake faced public pressure. Fact 2 is about the night the crowd rejected him. 2019, Camp Flog Gnaw Festival. Fans expected one name, Frank Ocean. Instead, Drake walked out. At first, cheers, then confusion, then boos. Yes, boos. One of the biggest artists on earth getting rejected by thousands of fans. He even asked, "Do you want me to keep going?" And the crowd shouted, "No!" Imagine standing under stage light, hearing thousands say, "They don't want you." He cut the show short and walked off. Memes flooded the internet. People said his era was ending. But rejection doesn't end legends. It tests them. And the next challenge, it attacked his credibility. Fact 3 goes back to the accusation that questioned his authenticity. Before the DNA drama, before the festival boos, there was 2015. Rapper Meek Mill publicly accused Drake of not writing his own lyrics. In hip-hop, that's a nuclear allegation. Rap culture is built on authenticity. If you don't write your bars, your credibility collapses. The accusation centered around songwriter Quentin Miller allegedly contributing to Drake's track. Suddenly, fans started questioning everything. Were the emotional lyrics really his? Were the punchlines authentic? Was Drake more pop product than rap artist? Instead of issuing press statements, Drake responded in the only language rap respects: music. He dropped diss tracks like Back to Back. The internet exploded. Even Meek Mill eventually admitted the battle didn't go his way. Drake won the beef. But winning a battle doesn't erase a question. Even today, critics bring up ghostwriting debates. And that's the thing about controversy. You can defeat the opponent, but the narrative lingers. 3 moments. A hidden child exposed, a live crowd rejection, an authenticity attack. Each one could have cracked a superstar's legacy. But instead of collapsing, Drake adapted. And this was only the first phase, because the next part of his story involves betrayal, heartbreak, and industry politics. And that's where we move on to fact 4. At one point, Drake and Kanye West weren't enemies. They were collaborators. 2 giants of their generation. 2 innovators shaping the sound of hip-hop. There were even talks of a joint project. But in the music industry, friendships are fragile. Subtle tensions started appearing around 2018. Album release dates felt strategic. Lyrics felt indirect. Shots were fired, but never clearly named. Then something deeper happened. When Pusha T exposed Drake's son in 2018, many fans believed the information may have leaked through inner industry circles connected to Kanye. Nothing was ever officially proven. But Drake publicly hinted in interviews that betrayal may have come from someone he trusted. Trust is rare at the top. And when 2 icons stop seeing each other as collaborators, they start seeing each other as competition. For years, the tension simmered. Cryptic posts, strategic album drop, fans choosing sides. Eventually, in 2021, the 2 appeared to reconcile publicly. But the damage, that kind of industry distrust changes how you move forever. And if industry politics were complicated, his personal life was even more complicated. Fact 5 is about a love story that played out in front of the world. Drake's connection with Rihanna was never simple. It wasn't just rumors. It was years of collaboration, chemistry, and speculation. Then came the 2016 MTV VMA. Drake stood on stage presenting Rihanna with the Vanguard Award, and in front of millions watching worldwide, he confessed. He said he had been in love with her since he was 22 years old. It looked like a movie moment. Romantic, genuine, vulnerable. The internet melted. Clips went viral instantly. But real life doesn't always follow the script. After that night, things slowly shifted. Public appearances together became rare. Interviews felt distant. No dramatic breakup headlines, just quiet separation. And sometimes silence hurts more than scandal. Drake later released music that fans connected to heartbreak and emotional distance. Rihanna moved forward with her own life. And just like that, one of pop culture's most talked about what-if relationships ended without closure. For Drake, it wasn't just a relationship. It was a very public vulnerability. And vulnerability at his level always becomes content for the world to analyze. But before heartbreak and rap politics, there was a much more basic fear: financial survival. Fact 6 takes us back to before the fame. Before global dominance, Drake was an actor on Degrassi, The Next Generation. It gave him stability, a paycheck, visibility, structure. But acting wasn't his ultimate dream. Music was. When his time on Degrassi ended, so did his steady income. And here's what most people don't realize. He wasn't rich yet. He wasn't a guaranteed success. He was traveling between Toronto and the US, trying to get studio time, investing money into music without knowing if it would return. That's a dangerous gamble. He could have stayed in acting, could have built a safe television career. Instead, he risked everything on mixtape. Fans connected. Because not everyone relates sending tracks to industry contacts. That gamble eventually connected him with Lil Wayne, a move that changed his trajectory forever. He chose uncertainty over comfort, and that decision built an empire. And yet, he stayed on top. But fact 7, that's where we talk about legacy, criticism, and how he turned doubt into dominance. When Drake first entered the rap scene, he didn't fit the traditional mold. Hip-hop at the time valued aggression, street dominance, hard delivery. But Drake, he was rapping about feeling, about heartbreak, about insecurity. Critics said, he sings too much, he's soft, he's not real hip-hop. Instead of choosing between singing and rapping, he blended both. Projects like Take Care showed vulnerability in a genre that rarely celebrated it. At first, people questioned it, but slowly, something shifted. Fans connected. Because not everyone relates to toughness, but almost everyone relates to emotion. Soon, a new wave of artists adopted that same melodic rap formula. What once sounded too soft became the dominant sound of the decade. Drake didn't just survive criticism, he reshaped the culture. And when you reshape culture, you don't just compete, you influence. But influence comes with another kind of pressure: consistency. Fact 8 is about the weight of staying on top. Drake didn't grow up fitting neatly into one box. His father was African American. His mother was Jewish Canadian. That meant two cultures, two histories, two identities. In school, he didn't always feel fully accepted. In hip-hop spaces, he didn't match the typical image. In religious settings, he wasn't the traditional version either. He was always in between. Too soft for some crowds, too different for others, too emotional for rap. But here's the twist. What felt like confusion as a kid became versatility as an adult. Because when you grow up learning how to adapt, you learn how to survive anywhere. UK drill, R&B, Caribbean influence, mainstream pop. Drake moves through cultures effortlessly. That identity conflict didn't break him. It built him. But his childhood wasn't just confusing. At one point, it was dark. Fact 9. Drake's father, Dennis Graham, was a musician with real talent. But during Drake's childhood, he faced legal trouble. There was a time when young Drake had to visit his father in jail. Think about that for a second. Cold wall, metal door, guards watching. For a child, that's not just a visit. That's a moment that changes how you see the world. The man you look up to suddenly looks powerless. That can shift everything. How you define strength, how you define success, how much control you want in your own life. Maybe that's why Drake later became obsessed with stability, security, ownership, power. When your early world feels unstable, you spend the rest of your life trying to control it. But the biggest shift in his childhood wasn't just that moment. It was the split that created two completely different worlds. Fact 10. When Drake's parents divorced, it didn't just separate a family, it split his reality. Toronto with his mother, Memphis with his father. One world was structured, protective, disciplined. The other was musical, southern, expressive. Two cities, two cultures, two identities. As a kid, he had to adjust constantly. Different accents, different energy, different expectations. That kind of upbringing forces you to read the room fast. And Drake mastered that skill early. That's why, as an artist, he can shift styles effortlessly. He can sound vulnerable, he can sound dominant, he can sound global. Because growing up, he was already living in two worlds. What looked like instability became adaptability, and adaptability became dominance.